Okay, good. It's good that we stopped. All right, here we go. We're on diary entry 114, guys. We're on page 223. Dear Diary, I just got home from the guest headquarters in Los Angeles earlier in the week. Miss G told us that they had decided to sponsor the Freedom Riders and fly 45 of us to New York City to accept the spirit of Anne Frank Award in person. I was fortunate enough to be one of the students picked to go. As soon as I got home, I was excited. I told my mother that we met the guest staff and how they surprised us with gifts and gave us a brief history of the company. We also found out why they wanted to sponsor our trip to New York. I learned that the Marciano brothers, who are the founders, are Jewish, and their father was a rabbi. During the Holocaust, their family had to flee Europe. I was very enthused and ready for the trip, so I decided to call my father and explain that I was leaving tomorrow. He didn't ask me if I was prepared for New York. He didn't offer to take me shopping or even give me any money for the trip, nothing. After the disappointing conversation with him, I started to think it's a shame how a company that does so much, not even know me personally, is willing to help me so much. Yeah, I have a father who knows who I am, where I live, my telephone number, and he acts like I don't exist. I was 18 years, his off and on actions have made an impact in my life. My father always promises me things and never comes through, which has made it hard for Mom at times since she's a single mother. During the holidays, he does bring me gifts, but when I really needed him to provide for me, he would act like he couldn't help me. I only ask him to help me when I have no other choice. When I do, he procrastinates or tells me to ask my grandmother. It's not that I always want money from him. I want to support a father figure in my life, someone to be there in my corner. I always wondered why he never took time out to spend with me. Receiving guest clothes for our trip reminded me of my childhood and how I needed designer clothes to make me feel accepted by others in school. While everyone was wearing Nike and Cross colors, I was wearing Pro Wings and Swap Meet specials. Wearing them made me feel as if I wasn't accepted by anyone, not even myself. I didn't accept myself because I didn't have the right clothes. Sad, isn't it? Don't get me wrong, I was grateful for the clothes I had on my back, but I just wanted to have designer clothes as well. Since my father wasn't making me feel wanted at home, I really needed to feel accepted by my peers at school. But in order for me to feel accepted by them, I felt like I had to have the same things they did. Now that I am a part of something like the Freedom Riders, I don't have to try to fit in or to buy my way into acceptance. Material things are no longer a top priority in my life. Of course I want nice things, but I don't feel as if I have to have them to feel complete. It's funny how material things mean so much to adolescents. The problem is people grow up thinking the material things are what makes them worthwhile, which is very untrue and causes them to be very shallow. Now as a young adult, I've realized that love is more important than material things. Material things can't love you like a father can. Diary 115, Dear Diary. It's always been a dream of mine to go to New York, one of those dreams that is always nice to think about, but that you know deep down inside will never come true. New York is where the action is, busy people rushing around on the sidewalk in a hurry to get to work, taxis speeding and honking as they zoom by, with huge billboards, booming lights in Times Square, and famous monuments like the Statue of Liberty and the Empire State Building. I just got a call from Miss Gorell saying that I should plan on packing my bags because I was one of the Freedom Riders chosen to represent the group at the Spirit of Anne Frank Award in New York City. In order to be eligible to accept the award, we had to write an essay explaining why we would be good ambassadors for the occasion. We only had one day to write the essay, so it was difficult for me to pinpoint what I wanted to say in so little time. I tried to act so calm when Miss Gorell called me. I didn't want to sound too eager, but the second that I hung up the phone, everything clicked, and I realized what she had told me. Her words echoed over and over in my mind. Pack your bags, pack your bags, pack your bags. Wow, I actually get to go to New York. I've got to pack. I need more time. Ugh, I need time to go to the mall. There are so many things I need to get. I need a heavy jacket. I heard it's really cold in New York now. It's been snowing there a lot lately, and I'm so surprised that I'm one of the 45 Freedom Riders that was chosen to go to New York. At the beginning of the year, I wasn't too sure if I would be even able to get into this class. The demand was so intense that only a handful of people were selected to join the class senior year. The majority of the students have had Miss Gorell since they were freshmen. Since some of my friends have been in the class for their entire high school career, each week they had something new to say about the class and about Miss G. They only had awesome things to say, never anything negative. My friends would tell me that they would meet a famous author one week, and the next week they'd be reading a really interesting book. They could tell Miss G anything and everything, and almost like she was one of the kids. She understood them. Most teachers aren't like that. They give you your homework, and then they send you on your way, never getting to know you. Some of my former teachers have had 4 or 5 favorite students in the class and overlooked the rest entirely. Miss G is so much different. She gets to know you. She wants to get to know you. Despite all the positive stuff, I have mixed feelings about getting into the class. I was totally ecstatic about being part of something that I had heard so many wonderful things about, but I was completely terrified. For some reason, I thought that everyone in her class would hate me because I joined the group after they'd been together for 3 years. I didn't want to be the outsider. I soon learned that there was nothing to worry about. As the year progressed, I have figured out that the others accepted me as one of their own family. It's almost as if they've adopted me into the family. A family that knows no colors, no lines, and only sees what lies deep within your heart. Diary 116, Dear Diary. The first night in New York City was exciting. We arrived and all I could think about was bumping into somebody famous. Our stay was going to last for 4 days. Everyone was anxious to get started with our schedule. The ride from the airport to the Marriott Hotel was absolutely breathtaking. I tried to contain my excitement, but was not able to. Oh my gosh, I said. All of us could not believe how beautiful the skyline looked. New York seemed like a magical place where anything can happen. Miss Grill had been working for Marriott International for many years to support our outings. I thought the New York Marriott Marquise was so luxurious. The view was magnificent. We were right in the middle of Times Square. Taxicabs roamed the streets of New York, and the lights covered every inch of the city. The Marriott staff made us feel right at home. When we went to Washington, D.C., Miss Grill let everybody choose his or her own roommates. In Washington, D.C., it was obvious to Miss Grill that everybody chose the people they felt more comfortable with. New York is going to be different, she explained. This time around, she was going to choose our roommates for us. Miss G never can do anything a simple way. She always has some big teaching scheme, even when we are nowhere near a classroom. The room situation ended up being one of the best lessons of my life. The first night in our room scared me because there were 4 girls, 3 being of different races. The only reason I felt uncomfortable was because I had never experienced sharing a room, a bed, or a bathroom with people outside of my race. When I was a little girl, I had 3 best friends who happened to be Chinese, African American, and Caucasian. They had sleepovers all the time, but I never attended any of them because my father did not allow it. He always told me that he had provided a house for me to sleep in and that I had no business sleeping in someone else's house. I soon began to wonder whether my father was old-fashioned or just prejudiced. I didn't know about my father's true feelings until I was 15 years old. My sister had a boyfriend who was African American. One night my sister and father had an argument, and I heard him say that if she ever married her boyfriend, he would never give her his blessing. It was depressing to hear, but the truth finally came out about him. He was prejudiced, and it hurt. Now, all of a sudden in New York City, my roommates were ironically African American, Caucasian, and Asian, just like my best friends back in elementary school. I felt very uncomfortable changing in front of them for the first time, especially sleeping in the same bed with an Asian girl. All I could think about was my father. I woke up the next day tired and restless. We all took showers in the morning and walked down to breakfast on time. There was hardly any communication between us the first evening, but the second night would be different. After a long day in the city, we finally returned to our hotel rooms. We were hungry and decided to order room service, but we didn't have any idea what we were getting ourselves into. 3 hamburgers, 2 fries, 1 chicken sandwich, and drinks ended up costing us $43.11. New York was expensive, and we could not stop laughing at the cost. After we ate, we started talking, and before we knew it, it was 4 o'clock in the morning. The next day, we began to share clothes, shoes, toothpaste, and even deodorant. My experience made me realize my father's beliefs were wrong. I felt a strong bond grow between me and my roommates. I believe that I will never again feel uncomfortable with a person of a different race. When I have my own children someday, the custom I was taught as a child will be broken because I know it's not right. My children will learn how special it is to bond with another person who looks different but is actually just like them. All these years, I knew something was missing in my life, and I am glad that I finally found it. Diary 117. Days like this create memories worth living for. My day began with tears of happiness after receiving the Spirit of Anne Frank Award, and ended up with tears of sadness after watching the play of the Diary of Anne Frank on Broadway. The Freedom Riders also had the privilege to meet and bond with prestigious people and some of New York City's high school students. Sorry. At breakfast, the Freedom Riders were exhausted from staying up late the night before, but we were looking forward to receiving the award. Later that day, when we arrived at the ceremony, all eyes were set upon us. The award had never been presented to so many people at one time, and this showed the true symbolism of our cause. We were the last ones on the program to receive the award. One of the recipients of the award was Gerald Levin, CEO of Time Warner, and we were honored to win an award with a powerful millionaire like Mr. Levin. When it came our turn, the majority of us were already crying, as Linda Lavin, the actress who plays Mrs. Van Daan in the play, made us cry even more when she said we made her feel proud to be a part of the human race. She read a list of our accomplishments so that the audience could understand what we were all about. When she said, "How proud I am standing here looking at you," the rest of the Freedom Riders lost it. We were bawling. Later in the evening, we walked from our hotel rooms to the theater to watch The Diary of Anne Frank, starring Natalie Portman and Linda Lavin on Broadway. Everyone dressed up nice, dressed up with nice dresses, slacks, and ties. The guys looked so handsome and the girls beautiful as always. After the play, Linda Lavin invited us to stay to meet all of the cast members, which made it even more meaningful. Winning the Spirit of Anne Frank Award and seeing the Broadway play made me realize what Anne meant when she wrote in her diary, "I want to go on living even after my death." Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop here because I'm not going to have time, I don't think, to read it even one more. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 more points to take notes. So how much do